Something big just happened in the peptide world that most people missed. In April 2026, 12 peptides that had been restricted from compounding pharmacies in the United States, including BPC-157 and TB-500, were taken off the FDA's restricted list. That means licensed compounding pharmacies can prepare them again. The peptide landscape right now looks very different than it did even 6 months ago. In this video, I'm giving you the full map. Every major category of peptide, what each one actually does, what the evidence really looks like, honest, not hype, and where each one sits legally in 2026. Let's get into it. Quick foundation before we dive in. If you've seen my first video, you already know this, so feel free to skip ahead. Peptides are short chains of amino acids. Think of them as molecular text messages, precise signals that tell specific cells what to do. Grow, repair, produce a hormone, calm inflammation. What makes them different from most drugs is specificity. Most medications are blunt instruments. They affect many systems at once. Peptides are more targeted. And because many of them are structurally similar to what your body already makes, their side effect profile tends to look different from synthetic pharmaceuticals. There are now hundreds of peptides being actively researched, but they fall into 4 main categories. Once you understand those 4, the whole landscape makes sense. This is the category that went mainstream. You've heard of Ozempic. You've heard of Wegovy. These are GLP-1 peptides, glucagon-like peptide-1 agonists, and they are the only peptides in this entire landscape with gold standard, large-scale human clinical trial data behind them. Here's what they do. They slow how quickly food leaves your stomach, they signal your brain that you're full, and they help regulate blood sugar. The result is powerful appetite suppression and, in trials, significant weight loss. Semaglutide, the drug in Ozempic and Wegovy, produces around 15% body weight loss in trials. That alone is remarkable. But in 2026, it's no longer the top of the class. Tirzepatide, sold as Mounjaro and Zepbound, hits 2 receptors instead of 1, GLP-1 and GIP. In a head-to-head trial called SURMOUNT-5, published in the New England Journal of Medicine, tirzepatide produced about 20% body weight loss, compared to about 14% for semaglutide. 1 in 3 people on tirzepatide lost at least a quarter of their body weight. And then there's retatrutide, still in late-stage trials. It hits 3 receptors at once, GLP-1, GP, and glucagon. Early trial data showed roughly 20 to 25% weight loss. Some researchers are calling it the most potent weight loss compound ever studied. If this category interests you, talk to a doctor. These are prescription medications, and yes, they're expensive, but that's a conversation for your physician. The takeaway for Category 1. The evidence is real, the results are real, and this is the only peptide category where you can point to thousands of pages of human clinical trials. This is where the story gets more complicated, and where the 2026 regulatory change matters most. BPC-157 and TB-500 are the 2 best-known healing peptides. Athletes call the combination the Wolverine stack. The premise is accelerated tissue repair, faster healing of tendons, ligaments, muscle, and gut lining. BPC-157 is a 15 amino acid peptide derived from a protein found in human gastric juice. It appears to work by promoting angiogenesis, the formation of new blood vessels that deliver oxygen and nutrients to damaged tissue. TB-500 is a synthetic version of thymosin beta-4. It works more systemically, promoting cell migration and reducing inflammation. Here's the honest truth about the evidence. The animal data is strong. Completely severed tendons have healed in rodent studies. The signal is there. But in humans, the clinical trial data is almost non-existent. A handful of small pilot studies, a lot of anecdote, and 0 large-scale randomized controlled trials in healthy people. That doesn't mean they don't work. It means we don't have proof yet. Now, the 2026 update. In late 2023, the FDA placed these peptides on a restricted list that barred compounding pharmacies from preparing them. As of April 23, 2026, BPC-157 TB-500 and 10 others came off that restricted list. They are not FDA-approved drugs. They sit in a gray zone, but licensed compounding pharmacies can prepare them again, and the FDA is reviewing several of them later in 2026. The sourcing rule has not changed, though. Gray market peptides have been independently tested and found to contain heavy metals, bacterial contamination, and sometimes as little as 5% actual peptide. Get these through a doctor or don't get them at all. Growth hormone declines with age. By your 40s, you're producing significantly less than you were at 20, and that affects body composition, recovery, sleep, and energy. Growth hormone secretagogues don't replace your growth hormone. They signal your pituitary gland to release more of what it already has. The most researched compounds here are sermorelin, ipamorelin, and CJC 1295. Sermorelin mimics growth hormone-releasing hormone and has the longest history of clinical use. Ipamorelin is prized for clean, selective pulses with a low side effect profile. And CJC 1295 extends the half-life of growth hormone release. It's commonly stacked with ipamorelin in research protocols. The honest picture: there's more human data here than in the healing peptide category, but still well short of what we'd want for confident recommendations. This is best done through a physician who can test your baseline hormone levels and see whether there's a real deficit to address. This is the frontier, the category serious longevity researchers are watching in 2026, even though most of the evidence is still in animal models. 3 peptides to know. Epithalon, a tetrapeptide tied to the pineal gland, researched for decades. The proposed mechanism involves activating telomerase, the enzyme that protects the ends of your chromosomes. In animal models, its extended lifespan and normalized age-related hormonal decline. MoC, a 16-amino acid peptide encoded by your mitochondrial DNA, first characterized in 2015. It helps regulate metabolism and has shown lifespan-extending effects in animals. And FOXO4, DRI, the most dramatic one. It's a senolytic. Its proposed job is clearing senescent cells, the so-called zombie cells that build up as you age and drive chronic inflammation. In mouse models, a single course reversed visible markers of aging. There's no human trial data yet, but it's firmly on the radar of longevity researchers. The honest take: we are very early here. The mechanisms are plausible, the animal data is compelling, but if someone is selling you an epithalon regimen with certainty, they're ahead of the science. So that's the map. For categories: weight loss and metabolic, FDA approved, gold standard evidence. Healing and recovery, a strong animal signal, limited human data, and newly off the FDA's restricted list after the 2026 reversal. Growth hormone secretagogues, off-label, physician-guided. And longevity, the frontier, compelling, but early. One rule applies across every category: get blood work first. Peptides address deficits, and if you don't know what your deficits are, you're guessing. Always use a licensed physician and a verified pharmacy. The gray market contamination problem is real and documented. If you want the deep dive on any one category, BPC-157, GLP-1s, or fat loss peptides specifically, those are coming. Subscribe so you don't miss them. I'll see you in the next one.